Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, we're recording. Lana, I remember last time on our discussion, it stopped recording for a minute, I think, on Deb's. So just make sure throughout. I can see at the top of mine that says recording. So
Okay.
we're good. So how did everyone like the rest of the book?
It's fabulous.
It was.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It was a great choice, and I think that, especially with the turn of events that happened today, it's again just so relevant to what's going on in the world with the threats today from and the Jews having to be evacuated. It just instantly is so relatable to our story.
That's sad.
60 Jewish centers, is that what it was? 60 Jewish community centers. I don't know if they were all attached to synagogues or not, but JCC.
Yeah. So, as I was reading the story, getting close to the end, I had like a couple thoughts that came to my mind, but not to totally jump to the end of the story, but I was really thinking, like, what if this story was written from Ellen's perspective? You know, how would the story be different? How would the ending be different? What do you guys think? Like, do you think it would just be a completely different story if we heard it from Ellen's perspective?
I don't think that you would have the bravery component because it was really the Johansons and Anna Marie that showed the bravery. The rest of them were just, they were doing what they were told. So I don't think Ellen's family, even though they were being brave doing what they were doing, they were risking their lives. I don't think you would have as big of a bravery component. Do you?
I agree.
I think Ellen is not mature as Anne-Marie mature, so she will behave in completely different way. She might be in trouble sometimes.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I noted a lot in this second half, again with Anne Marie's bravery again. I know we talked about it on our last conference, but it just kept coming up how brave she was, especially when she went through the forest, the trail again. But I definitely think that you're right. I think it wouldn't have that factor if Ellen was telling the story. And I wonder, like, if the Johansons would have been more of like flat characters and her family, because we don't really know too much about the Rosens. So I feel like it might have been like a little flip-flopped.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, here I have a question because you talked about her trip to her uncle when she went to give him the food. Why the author made her think about the story, the Little Red Riding Hood, while she was walking? Why do you think she was thinking about the story?
I was just thinking that she was trying to keep her mind busy. She was trying not to be afraid. So
That's what I thought.
She was falling back into how would her sister, is it Kira? No, it's not.
Kirsty.
Kirsty is so oblivious to everything going on that maybe she tried to, recreate a little of that obliviousness within her head to keep her mind off the danger.
Actually, I thought in different way. I thought because she was remembering the story because she was afraid. She's very brave, but she was afraid at the same time. So when she heard some noise, she was remembering the story. I think she was afraid inside. That's why I remembered the story.
Mm-hmm.
She was thinking about it. These are my thoughts. What do you think, Heidi?
I think it also sets up a parallel so that the suspense is going on two tracks. And since we know what's coming with Little Red Riding Hood, we're sort of gasping and thinking, oh no. Now,
Yeah,
I'm afraid of what might happen next.
The Germans are the big bad wolf.
That's what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm.
And they have dogs.
Yeah. Speaking of the dogs, what I thought was really cool, and I kind of like went on the internet after and looked it up, the handkerchief. At first I thought like, what was in that envelope? Was it like a passport for them? What was it? And then when it was the handkerchief and they explained like how it kills the dog's sense of smell, I actually went and researched it and like really looked at it. And I can't believe someone like a scientist created that or is insane.
Yeah, that was fascinating, particularly since they did it without, you have to imagine how they would have to do it in secret and not, and with maybe not even all the resources that they would need to do that kind of experimenting. And
yeah, and that also kind of makes me think like, what if the soldiers found, like they found the handkerchief, but what if they knew what the handkerchief was? Then how would the story play out?
well, you know what one of my questions was, and I actually was not prepared for what they found and what was revealed, because I was wondering how big the package was, what shape it was, because when I read the word package, like I'm thinking of something that comes from Amazon.com, I guess, and I'm thinking, it's square and it's hard, and like, what is in it? And I wasn't thinking of something wrapped up in brown paper or something. Were you trying to figure out what shape?
Yeah, because she put it in the basket.
Yeah. I pictured it being like one of those huge like envelopes, kind of like this, but like a giant one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I guess maybe
remember
it was
Mr. Rosen put it in his coat pocket.
And she put it in the basket.
Yeah. I had a thought while I was driving around. That's when weird things come to my mind. This story is very similar to Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. And actually what's going on today with Mexicans being held up in sanctuary cities and churches so that so they can't come get them and deport them. But I was thinking it's very similar to the Underground Railroad with the slaves. Although you couldn't, the slaves had to travel at night and in secret, and it was a little easier to move the Jewish population around. I just really thought that, wow, it's very similar to the Underground Railroad. So
yeah. I think there's a lot of similarities like that this book could between like that you said, the Underground Railroad, just what's going on now in the world. I think you could use this story with a lot of different lessons. I mean,
and also I was thinking that the smuggling in the boat would probably not be too dissimilar to the Star Wars, when they when Han Solo, when they hide under the floorboards in the Millennium Falcon, and probably a lot of kids have seen that. So I was trying to picture what kind of boat, like what was the boat size, what was it like, and I hadn't thought of it as being a boat where you could smuggle like 6 or 7 people. And then I was thinking, and then I was kind of, in my mind, I was thinking of a boat that you could outfit that way. And I was thinking about, and of course it's not a boat, but I was thinking about the Millennium Falcon and how it has that, because it talks about the floorboards being able to be lifted up. And remember how, and I forget what episode it was, but they smuggle themselves in, they hide under the floorboards. So that would be pretty relatable. I mean, that part of it is relatable through that, because otherwise you're sort of wondering, gee, what kind of boat does he have? What size is it? Does it, I don't know. I did find myself there are a lot of points where she's very detailed and she kind of offers up insights, but towards the end, there's a lot that's left unanswered, I think. So there's some details that are left unanswered.
When I pictured the boat, I pictured it to be like a little rickety fishing boat. So when they were saying that they were hiding people under the floorboards, I'm like, wait, how do you do that in like a little boat? Like I just picture like a little rowboat and someone going out to fish. Not
Yeah, that's
like,
what I pictured too.
so that was really interesting, thinking about hiding people.
And apparently there was some of the fishermen were trying to ask absorbent rates to transfer some of them. So apparently, when I was looking into some of the details, the resistance would actually go to the fishermen and bargain the prices down. They got up to $1,500 for each person sometimes.
Wow. Oh, you know what? That's what I was thinking. The packet was that it was money for paying people off.
Yeah.
Did you think that?
I kind of thought it was like passports or something, so that
it was
they
a passport.
could start a new life. That's what I was thinking, and that it would give everybody away, or people to contact when they got to Sweden. But I never imagined it was the kerchief with the cocaine on it.
Yeah, I thought it's passports too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about something square. I was thinking in terms of something square, and I thought, is it money for bribes? Because sometimes at different checkpoints they'd have to bribe people. And a lot of scams were set up in France, pretending that they were going to take them over the Pyrenees and they would just throw them over the edge and take their money or their jewels or, terrible stuff. So.
By the way, what happened in the boat, it's very similar to what is happening to Syrian people these days. But the difference is what happened in the boat, they wanted to save people. What is going on in Syria, they take people in the boat and after that they kill them or throw them in the water. They steal their money, the money they have, and a lot of people, honestly, were killed and died while they were escaping from Syria.
And
these few years.
That's why I think it would be so interesting to have like a part 2 of the book, because I know what happens when Ellen and her family get to Sweden and like how they restart their life again, and if they ever get back in touch with the Johansons, or if Ellen is able to somehow like write a letter after the war's over or just something. Like I think it would be so cool to have like a follow-up and see how they start their new life again.
Actually, talking about the Rosens, why do you think the author told us that Anne-Marie asked her dad to fix the necklace and she wore it? This necklace, it means something. It has the Star of David. So why did she wear it?
I think it was a symbol of friendship.
Yeah, and it's a show of solidarity too. And you know what they don't mention, and what even the afterword doesn't mention? Lauren, isn't it the case, maybe you know this, I think that didn't the King of Denmark say that everybody was to wear a Star of David so that that nobody could tell who? Remember when they said you have to wear a Star of David, and didn't all of the Danes start wearing Stars of David so you couldn't tell them apart?
I don't remember.
I think I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure that would be a good question to ask, because I think that one of the things the Danes did that was unusual was they did that thing. You know how now rabbis are coming out and saying if there's a Muslim list, we're going to go sign up? Well, I think what the Danes did was they kind of did this sort of hashtag, we're all Jews, kind of for the 40s. And they all started sporting the same labels that the Jews had to, so that they would show that they were in solidarity. But she doesn't mention that. I'm pretty sure that was the case. It would be a good research topic. sort of one of those things that you could, because we were talking before about how it's not clear what Sweden's position was in reference to Denmark, and we also don't know what's happening in Norway. I mean, I don't even know what happened in Norway offhand, but some of the historical stuff would be good to, I mean, that comes up, questions about what really happened.
Yeah,
sorry, Lauren, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying I in my mind thought it was just like a friendship thing, wanting to feel close, and I don't know, I didn't really think like too deep into the reasoning of the necklace, which
yeah, I thought it might be like a hope, just she hopes that she come back, friendship. Maybe she reminds her about her sister, because her sister died because of the war.
Mm-hmm.
So many thoughts came into my mind. I don't know.
Well, that was part of the surprise too. What happened to the sister? Oh, sorry, Deb.
Well, we're talking about the necklace. I thought that it was very interesting that Anna Marie decided to hide the necklace in Lisa's dress, in the hem of her dress, because even in her death, Lisa's holding secrets. This book is a lot about secrets and not knowing everything to keep you safe. And like, she didn't know that her sister was in the resistance and how her sister truly had died. So here she is hiding the Star of David in Lisa's hem of her dress to conceal it, and another secret.
Oh, that's actually a good point. That's a good point.
And more secrets, like when Anne Marie went into the barn with Uncle Henrik, and she's like, "Why are like?" She knew he was lying, but he opened up to her then, but they were still, again, like you said, with the secrets.
But she was mad at first. She was very immature, and then as he explained it to her and she understood, she felt a little more. She said she felt a little more grown up.
Yeah.
And she knew more than Ellen now, and she knew more than Ellen to begin with, but she just felt like she said at one point she felt like an equal to her mother. And I'm thinking, well, no, I don't think so, but that would be an immature kid. All the kids think they're smarter than their parents. So
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting how the mom is disabled at the end by the broken ankle, and she does kind of, there are indications in the text itself about how she grows up and she starts feeling older, and in fact she needs to take care of her mom. She needs to be the person that goes out at the end and is the adult, takes on the role of the adult, and yet at the same time her mother urges her to be like her little sister. So she's kind of at the same time she has to be an adult and do something brave and scary, she's also urged to be like a little kid. And that's pretty daunting, and yet she takes it on. She does it.
I actually noted when I was reading that it was interesting when she was walking through the forest. She was kind of thinking, like, what would Kirsty do, or like, how would she act in this situation? And she really took on that role when the soldiers found her.
Mm-hmm. And one more thing that I found at the end of the book, one of these questions: did the Johansons help anyone else? Was this just one person they helped, or did they go back and do more? I mean, obviously the Rosens weren't the last ones to leave. The story in the end for me felt a little flat, because here they had this joy that they had gotten the Rosens out of there, but what about all the other people that were left? Were they helping, did they intend to help more people, or was this a one-time thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, for Peter it wasn't, and apparently for the uncle it wasn't, but I guess for them they did their part, and that was their.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, I will stop the recording for 1 second, okay?
By the way, look what I found.
Okay.
All right.
So why do you think she does not include why do you think the writer doesn't include some sort of epilogue where they get back together or get in touch? Do you think why do you think she makes that choice?
I think
maybe she wanted to write another book. Part 2.
Well, it would have to continue many years probably after the war is over. It depends on how close to the war being over, I would think.
And I wonder if she didn't have like a close relationship with anyone. Like I feel like she based the characters off of stories and things, and maybe she just wanted to leave it at that and like let our imaginations think like what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, when I read the afterword, I don't know if I'm right, but I found out that her friend's name is Anne-Les. So she named one Anne-Marie, and the other one she named her Les from her friend's name.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's true, but that's what I found out. It's interesting.
Why do you think that the author, like, I feel like she still left the Rosens as kind of like we didn't really know too much about. Why do you think like she didn't expand more on like how they felt during this whole process once they came to the Uncle Henrik's house? Like I feel like we didn't really hear too much about their feelings. Like why do you think she didn't really go into detail about that?
Good question.
I don't really have an answer for that.
I think it's something more important to talk about in the story.
Maybe Lauren, I think it's what one of you said before, which is that it makes the burden of the story rest on the rescuers,
okay,
and the people who have to enact the bravery as opposed to the subjects of their rescuing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just felt like, I mean, and again, the story's not from their perspective, but I was just like, I felt I didn't know how they were really feeling.
But if you were going to rewrite it from Ellen's perspective, as I think you pointed out, that is an interesting thing to think about, because then you have to think about the process and the choices that the author did make.
Mm-hmm.
And how you'd have to undo so many of her choices about the thinking through of what bravery is, of what fear is, and you'd have to put yourself in the mind of the rescued instead of the rescuer. And I think what she wanted to emphasize was the act of rescuing, the act of
it would be a totally different story.
Yeah.
I know she wanted us to compare to different texts, this text to a different text.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been reading The Devil's Arithmetic.
Oh.
And it's another Holocaust story. And what absolutely stopped my heart in this Devil's Arithmetic is how different the rabbis were, the author's takes. In Number the Stars, the rabbi, the rabbi tells everyone that they need to, take cover because the Germans were coming to get them. And in The Devil's Arithmetic by Jane Yolen, she writes the story as the rabbi says, well, we have nothing to fear from the Germans because they haven't given us a reason to fear anything. So we're just going to go with them to be resettled. So I thought the difference the authors make in how one set of Jewish people react versus another set. And also in the book, how the Danes, she has the Danes supporting the Jews and trying to help them leave, because obviously 7,000 people were smuggled in that amount of time, versus like the Polish who didn't care about the Jews and just let them suffer. They didn't try and hide them or move them around. So I thought that was different. And they're both historical fiction.
I feel like I've read that story. I know there's also another story that I read that I'll have to look into. I think it's called like Elie Wiesel. Has anyone?
Oh, Night.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he was, yeah. That's a true story, though. That's a biography.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, I know I've read it before, but I wonder if those texts are comparable.
And that's another book that they make you read in middle school now.
Oh, is it? I
Yeah,
know
I think that's where I read it.
level. Yeah, it's like a 720 because I'm doing a thing on that, but I think it's a 720 Lexile, that Elie Wiesel and his wife.
Yeah.
So,
I'll have to look into it and see if there's anything that's comparable at all.
So that's what's just my take. It's a very good book, but the moods of the books that the writer creates are totally different. I think Number the Stars is almost uplifting compared with Devil's Arithmetic. It's just so sad and
even the title to me, like Number the Stars, and then like Devil's Arithmetic, like the stars, it almost seems hopeful, and then because I hear the word devil, so that's why it sounds like a negative. But
well, they refer to the devil as the Germans, and the Devil's Arithmetic is just to live another day so the devil doesn't get you. So that's what I've been reading this week. So
I think she started off with her friend's story because the power of being told a story sometimes can really grab you. And I think she wanted to translate that for a young reader, the effect that a story being told to you can have. And she wanted to retell it. And I think the more she looked into it, the more she realized what a great example of decency and humanity that Denmark did give, whereas there are other countries where it's a little bit more mixed or nowhere near as good. So she probably felt, you know what, this is a good way to tell a piece of the Holocaust without, and be uplifting and be about human decency as opposed to the horror of it, or as opposed to exploring at too young an age what it's like to have people that do the kinds of betrayals that happen to. I mean, you're already dealing with betrayal with Anne Frank, so you could compare the text of Anne Frank's diary, where you have betrayal, where the suspense is about will they be betrayed, whereas with Number of the Stars that these are people that are taking care of them and won't betray them, or at least the suspense isn't set up so that you're thinking, oh God, they're going to get betrayed.
I think you're right, Heidi. I think it's totally a lesson in humanity and human decency in the end.
I agree.
Correct.
And it would be good to do, I mean, I'm sure that when it's done in schools, it's done as a unit so that you can do a lot of comparing and contrasting of putting yourself in certain positions in the story. Like what would it be like if you were being rescued instead of the rescuer? And you can kind of put yourself in different.
We're missing your webcam, Heidi.
I know. I just turned it back on. For some reason, it turned off. Is it back on?
Yeah.
Okay,
yep.
Sorry.
You.
The 30 minutes are done. Should I stop the recording?
Well, I guess we should just kind of plan out for the rest of the week, moving forward, just to, for the transcription, I guess we'll see how the YouTube thing works. And then Lana, you'll let us know when you save it if it works, and then if it doesn't, we can just email it to the group. And then since Deb did last week's, then the three of us will break it down into sections in the event that the transcription doesn't work. And then we
Okay.
can.
So how do you would take care of the YouTube, right?
Do you want me to upload it?
Do you want to try the YouTube thing?
YouTube, yeah, for the transcript.
Okay.
Send me the file and I will upload it.
So let me stop the recording, okay? Because it's the time.
Okay.
Of